All right. Ladies and gentlemen, waiting for the okay here that we're live. Looks like we're live. Do we have a feed? Ooh, we do have a feed. Okay. We made it. We're live on YouTube. Wow. Okay. Well, welcome back. I think we're actually going to. First of all, I just want to start this episode. I actually think this is going to be the podcast. Okay. So, what a day it has been to be the one known as Nick Zai. Let me tell you. I got shot at today. I tried multiple locations for this episode and I just couldn't get enough signal, but we're here and we made it. So that's the brilliant part. And today it's going to be all about how to not struggle, which is kind of weird. Because usually you would go with something like, hey, how can we just thrive, right? Because that's the thing. How can we thrive in 2020? That's what everybody wants to know, man. How can we get it? But really, life a lot of the times for me has been about how do I not struggle? Because sometimes when you're in that lower level mindset, you just have to find a way to get yourself out. And if that means just saying I'm not gonna struggle, then so be it. There's nothing wrong with that. So, oh man, so we're gonna start this off just by sharing a personal share time. All right. Now what happened today was just wild, and it really pertains to what I'm talking about today. So I was at a different campsite on West Sedona because I'm live in Sedona. If I didn't say it yet, I'm live in Sedona. Well, I'm west side still of Sedona, but I'm in a different spot. But I was in a spot this morning where people were shooting. They decided that they were going to shoot guns down below where we were because it was an actual camp spot. And so these people literally were using a target that it's shaped for those on YouTube that can see, it's kind of on a diagonal, like a diagonal shape target. Okay, so they were shooting at this target, and guess what happens? The bullets start ricocheting, and it's just me and Jax at that point. Jesse's on a walk, and that was actually the second spot at that location because the first spot the shooting was too loud, so I moved. Somebody else came, right? So there's got to be some sort of lesson for me in this, that sometimes it seems as though life is just throwing things at you, right? Because I'm hearing gunshots all morning, and it was the day before, it was the same thing. And I thought, okay, this is probably just some people who are, they're just messing around. They don't mean, like, they're not going to be here again. And sure enough, there's two more sets of people. So what's the lesson? Right? Because then the bullets started ricocheting and they literally were going by my head. I was about to set up for this podcast three hours ago, and literally bullets flying by me. And I literally ran, like, as soon as I heard the gunshot stop, I literally had to bolt into the car like I'm in World War II. Right? I'm in World War II and I'm just bolting into the car like, hey, like, don't shoot me. And it's just incredible. It's incredible that that happened. And that was probably the scariest. I'm talking to you now on the other side of the scariest moment of my life, probably. So that happened. And then I ran and I said, please stop shooting. And they're like, you're dumb for being up there, is what they said. Like I was supposed to know, because there was campsites everywhere. There was more than just me up there, and me and Jess. And that whole experience was just, it was wild. But on the other side of that, I see that there's a lesson in it. And it's, can you maintain your inner peace? Like, at what level, right? Because it's really easy to maintain that inner peace when you're just chilling. You're chilling in the house, you got nothing to do. You're just relaxing, and You might be watching a movie. Okay, inner peace, good. Inner peace is good. But what happens when you're starting to feel uncomfortable about something, right? This is what it was about for me. Was a lot of times, I started to feel uncomfortable. Like I was really uncomfortable when that was happening. And I mean, it just hasn't been that. It's just been through the overlanding experience, through living in the rooftop tent, which is literally right there. And for those that are on audio only, I just showed it, or at least showed the car. But living out of a rooftop tent, doing these things that I never thought I would do, has really led me to realize just how much it might seem like a struggle now, but previous versions of you wouldn't have even attempted it. So when you are struggling, right? Like I'm struggling to find a spot where I want this mic right now. Okay, that's better. So when you're struggling, you just got to remind yourself, this is key. All right, get that pen and paper out. Get that Google Keep out. Not Google though. Don't use Google. We don't want no privacy issues. Let's use the good old fashioned notepad. All right, and let's just take some notes on how we can actually tangibly maintain our inner peace, because the shadow side of frustration, I feel like, is kind of just this sense of like that's where I've lived a lot of my life. And so the biggest pro tips that I can give you, not that I'm a pro, but the biggest tips I can give you on how to actually do this is to, first of all, understand that when you're pushing your limits, when you're pushing the limits of what you thought was possible in your experience, a lot of the times you're going to feel that grind. Okay? You're going to feel like things are churning. You're going to feel like things are hitting together. Like you got two lightsabers and you're just, you're hitting them together. Like you got, like your gears are grinding, whatever you want to say. Just know that, and when you're starting to push yourself like this going to happen. So you got to remember, you got to, like, number one, if you had to write it down, I would say, remember where you came from. And not to dwell in the past or not to be in the past, but just to give yourself some perspective on where you've been, what you've been doing in your life. And understand that this is not always easy, right? And life isn't meant to be easy. I truly believe that, because I don't think it's gonna benefit anybody if it's just easy. If everything life is just this thing where we just all are new earth and life's good. And I think we didn't sign up for that for a reason. Because if we signed up for something that was just easy, what would we learn, right? Because through these struggles, through these hard times that seem to exist, we find our true nature, we find our true self. And it's just a matter of how much struggling are we going to do until we give up our struggle and just allow, right? That's two, right? I guess we're making a list. I don't know who decided on this list and why we're doing a list, but we're going to do one. So number 2 is just like allow. Like you better write like, because if you're not writing like, what are you doing? So first of all, allowing. Second of all, actually. Because when we allow life to flow, then we're not struggling. Because struggling is really all about resistance. Because when you're feeling resistance, this is what struggling is, to me at least. When you're not accepting, when you're not okay with how things are turning out. And when I in my life have not accepted things the way that they are, then I find myself deep down in my own despair of how I think it should be with my limited mindset. So that's kind of point 3, is that we don't know enough to resist. I don't know enough. You don't know enough. Sorry. I'm just going to let you know straight up. Because when we're thinking that we think we should know how life should be. Life should be this way. It should have been easy to do that. podcast, to do the podcast earlier. It should have been easy to live, and it should be like this. Well, we can desire those things, but when it's not in our present moment like that, and we resist thinking it should be a certain way, the only thing, my friend, the only thing that causes is ourself to struggle. And if we just cause ourselves to struggle for no reason, what's the point, right? What's the point in resisting? And I'm not coming at this from like the dark side perspective. Don't resist. Don't resist. I'm just saying that when you think that life should be a certain way and it turns out not being that way and you're upset about it, then what's left? Right? It's just you and your struggleness. You and what you think life should be, because it's not that way, and then we got a problem. So really you're causing the problem. Like for example, I caused the problem by just not accepting that, oh well, the podcast isn't going to work, because I've been trying to film this since on the 31st, and I think it's the 2nd today, or it's the 1st today. Okay, anyways, I was trying to film this before the end of the year, whatever day it is, and it just didn't happen. And as soon as I just let go my desire to have it, even though when I knew that it wasn't going to happen and I was still desiring it, that's when suffering starts. Is when you think that it should be a certain way, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, it should still be this way, even though I can clearly see that it's not. So, for example, that night when I found out that it wasn't going to happen, instead of being salty, and I just we got the gloves on because the hands are getting cold. It gets cold quick here in the Sedona area. If y'all don't know how it works around these parts. Little side note, it's going to get cold. And that when the sun goes down like it is, this lens is good at night, but really it's a lot darker here. So if I'm shivering, hey, that's the way she goes. Like that's the example, right? It's almost like acting. This is going to be a weird one, but this is just one that's coming to me. Is this number 4? Yes. So I see that we're skipping frames on the live. And so if it's cutting in and out, oh, we're really skipping frames. So those that are listening to the podcast, you're probably going to be like, man, what? How can it skip frames? I'm live, my friend. Okay, we skipped 1,000 frames. God is good. Hey, this is the perfect example. It's like, what can I do when I'm live on YouTube? And I'm thinking to myself, well, man, I really want it to be good. I really want it to not skip any frames. I really want it to be perfect. No skip frames, no cutouts. It's perfect. But sometimes it just doesn't happen. So at that point, and you can think about relating this to your life. Where in your life are we at this point where it doesn't seem to be going the way that you want it? Like, you have two choices. Suffer or don't suffer. Like, resist or don't resist. Love or fear, you could say. Or, obviously, we know through the themes of consciousness that I talk about all the time that it could be more. Could be a lot more than just love and fear, but really just what are we picking? What are we choosing? And to me, I'm choosing love. And I'm choosing love every moment that I can. And when I don't, I'm not causing myself to suffer even more by saying I should have. Because then I'm in guilt. And then I'm thinking, well, I should have been a certain way. Things should be. And then we talked about should a lot already. Because that's where I feel like, for me, I'm struggling. I have struggled. I'm not struggling now, but like it should be perfect. Life should be this way. Well, what if we just let go of any notion of thinking that we should know how life should be? What if we just decided that, hey, life's just going to be the way that it is, and best to flow with it and allow life to unfold? What if we just live like that, What would life be like? And I feel like it would be magic, pure magic. That's where I'm aiming to be. Is in that magic, is in the enjoyment of just living free. Just living free. Because it's almost like you trap yourself. by struggling. You trap yourself in this box of how reality should be perceived. And then once you stop, because I'm tired of talking about should, and I'm sure you're tired of hearing me talk about should. But once you stop, let's just stop talking about shoulds. Let's stop living in the past. Let's stop trying to control how it is. Let's just allow, where are we at? We're at this point where we can breathe, where we can truly just make decisions with what we have right in front of us. And a lot of times, what we have right in front of us is pure love. But we just can't see the love because we're so clouded. So what I'm asking you to do, if you're struggling, is to just ask yourself, where's the love? Where's the love in this situation? Where's the love in this? So love might be in where the podcast didn't work out earlier. Love could be that now I have this beautiful view and it actually is going to turn out way better. Maybe I'll have better signal here. Maybe I'll be in a better state to make this episode. Like, I don't know that if it, because this is that when you dig deep into struggle, we're almost at this point where it's like you are in this illusion where you think life should be this way, right? And then you're living in this illusion that it would have been better if. Well, how do we know that? How do we truly know that? We don't. Because we don't know that life would have been better if it would have went this way. So I feel like if you're going to write down on your notes, if you're taking notes, and if you're not, who gives a, who cares? Just remember that if and should are never going to serve you. When we're talking about struggle, when we're talking about this type of thing, should will never serve you. I can't think, and if you can, drop a comment, but I can't think, and I'm not feeling like there's any situation where should is going to serve me. Because nothing in the past is going to serve me if I'm in should. Obviously, the past serves you in some aspects where you got to remember how to eat, you got to remember where the store is. So the past is useful in that way, but to live in the past or in the illusion of the past or in the illusion of an alternate timeline where the things worked out like you like, it doesn't help. It really doesn't help. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help you, me, it doesn't help anybody because we're all just right. What's the point? What's the point? Let's stretch wide open and let's think about the point of just what is the point of existence? Whoa, Nick, that's getting deep. Can I tackle that right now? I don't know. Maybe. I think the point of existence is to not think. Think about that. What if the point of existence is to just be, to realize that, to bring yourself back. When you bring yourself back to here and now, and don't live in the past and don't live in the future, but you're really right here. A lot of times, what do we need to think for? What do we need to, of course, I can see it already. People are like, what do you mean? I got to think to do things. Yes, I get that we have to think to experience reality. Well, we don't have to think to experience reality. We have to think in order to do things. But on the inside of that is being. To me, yin, yang, whatever you'd like to say, is about, the yin is about being. And the yang is about exploring. And there's different interpretations, and I respect those. But at least for this, at least imagine with me that there's two opposites. There's being and there's doing. There's action and inaction. However you want to say it. However you want to perceive it. and that we came here to experience what action would be like. But also, I think on one level, there are certain souls that also came here to experience, and I really believe everybody would benefit from experiencing what life is like when you're just being. Because if you're always thinking, you're not even in reality, because reality doesn't is not everything that you think it is, because thinking is just a perception. Thinking is a perspective. And when we take that perspective of thought and we just let it go and we just be, I just invite you to see what remains. When you are just completely surrendered and you're here. You're here. There's no struggle in being here. Being here. Because you can't stop being, but you can stop thinking. So this is why. If you're struggling, my last tip as it's getting dark, my not pro tip. Ask yourself, where thinking is not serving you. Ask yourself, what thoughts are not serving you? Not serving your highest good. Of course, we can learn from thoughts of feeling unworthy, feeling like we're not good enough. But where are they not serving? They're not serving when you keep thinking them over and over. And when you keep thinking them over and over and you just believe them, then you're in this perpetual cycle of I'm not good enough. And then what do? Right? There's, there's nothing, because that's how depression happens, right? You're perpetually telling yourself, oh, we got the light on. Solid. Perpetually telling yourself, hey, you're not good enough. You're not good enough to do your own videos. You're not good enough to live this way. You're not worthy. Spending this money, you're not worthy. Because those thoughts, I'm gonna tell you straight up, those thoughts are gonna keep coming. So this is why it's important to end on this. Those thoughts will always keep coming. It's just whether or not you are going to identify with those thoughts. And if you can take anything from this video, at least understand this concept. At least realize that these thoughts are not yours. That they're programming that's happened throughout your life. And that somewhere along the line of your life experience in this, what we experience as linear time, you picked up thought. And specifically, you picked up thoughts that don't serve you through somebody, more than likely, but you could have just reinforced what somebody else thought, or you could have come to your own conclusion. However you came to these thoughts, we can explore that and we can feel them and heal them. But just understand that they are not you. They come and go. Think of it like you have your apartment, right? You're chilling. You're chilling in your apartment, and your you got your own apartment, you got your own place, you're relaxing. Life's good. And then you got an old friend that calls you up that you're not really fond of, but he has nowhere else to stay. And he just comes right in and he says, I need you to listen to me. I need you to listen to me. I'm really struggling right now. And you, in order to live life in love, as you obviously do, you say, okay. And you listen to him and you hear him and you feel him. You feel his energy. And even though it doesn't feel good, you feel it and you love it. You send him love. And then he says, all right, well, you sent me so much love. You sent me so much. I feel so good now. I think I'm going to go out and I'm going to stay at a hotel. My friend called and he owed me some money, and now I have some money and I can leave now. This is it. This is thoughts. Your thoughts will only stay as long as you resist. Because if you're just resentful, you just hide in your room and you say, I don't want to deal with you. You can be here, but whatever. They're gonna take advantage of you. I'm not saying everybody is, but a lot of the times in life, unless we set boundaries, we won't live to our fullest potential. So in life, when these energies come, we send them love. We feel them. We acknowledge them. And we heal them. But then we let it go. We let it go. And they will naturally go as we love them. The antidote, the alchemy here, is love. So when we have love in the equation, we can't lose. When we have love, while we're struggling, the struggle will cease. But just understand that the thoughts that come that are telling you that you're struggling, you can feel them and you can acknowledge them. Then you can let them go. You can love them and let them go because they're not serving you. You can set a boundary of what you're willing to keep in your house. And if you're willing to keep your outside house clean, your outside environment clean, then you best be willing to keep your inside house clean, to keep your sacred temple clean. Because your outside can be extremely messy and your inside be perfect and you are okay with life. But if your outside's clean, your inside's not, how are you going to enjoy life? You're not. So what I invite you to do is to acknowledge and feel and love these things that come up, these thoughts that I'm not worthy, or these things that are causing you to struggle. But also understand that they're just an experience. And when you understand your thoughts as an experience, just like you experience your friends, you experience your lover, you experience your parents, but then you decide, I'm good. I'm good. I need my own space. You set that boundary. Well, I'm not holding on to you. I sent you love. It's time for you to go. I promise. I promise. I promise. I promise this will serve you. And if it doesn't, I don't have anything for you because it will. So this is the way to heal yourself. This is the way to wholeness and completeness because you are already that. We just have to set boundaries with our thoughts. And when we do this, when we allow life to unfold without resisting and thinking it should be, when we stop the ifs, the shoulds, when we just completely surrender to what life has to offer, we free ourselves from life. Doesn't it feel good to just know that you're always free, even when it doesn't seem like you're free? You're always whole, even when you don't feel whole. To know that you can't not be whole. Just like in a video game, if you're playing a character and in the video game the character just getting wrecked. You that's controlling the character, you're good. You're good. And you know that deep down. I'm asking you to find that. And when we do, when we tap into our true nature, it allows us to see life as a game, life as whatever you want to call it, a dream, a game, a simulation. Insert dramatic music. When we see life as a game, it becomes way more etheric. It becomes way more fun to me. So allow life to be fun by understanding that Yes, it is real in this experience. It is real. As real as your hands are. Your thoughts are real. Because it's real energy that's going through us. We just can't see it. But just know that deep down, not down as in actually down, but part of you knows that you are not this game. Part of you knows that you're not. And when you tap into that beautiful essence of who you really are, if you're Abraham Hicks, that's what you're saying. When you tap in, there's nothing that can harm you. I unplugged my laptop and now it's lagging. Okay. This is what happens when you're doing lives, right? All right. Are we good now? It's probably because it's not on performance. Okay. Are we on performance now? All right. Anyways, I believe that will do it for this episode. I hope this helps you. Looks like my connection's bad, anyways. So, hey, if you enjoyed this podcast, let me know down below. Let me know your thoughts. If you have anything that you believe will help others, because I definitely didn't hit them all. But if you have anything that you believe will help others to relieve their own suffering, drop it down below. Down there. And if you're on Spotify, go to YouTube, comment, do it. I dare you. All right, my friend. I hope this served you. And I'll see you in the next, all right?